Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Sophie Lee, and I'm the program director of the MPA program and an assistant professor in the School for Public Affairs and Administration at MCNY. It is my privilege to host the MPA Constructive Action Showcase tonight and present 5 of these outstanding graduates who will showcase their constructive action tonight. So their constructive action is not just a testament to their dedication, but also mirrors the mission of the college, which is fostering social justice and promoting positive changes in the community through education. So I am truly excited to learn about all their projects and then the changes that they made in their respective organizations and the community. But before we dive in, let me express my gratitude to some of the guest members. President Joanne Pissarro, Vice President Humphrey Kirkendale, Dean of Academic Affairs, Payne Shu, Professor Lou TJ, Professor Charles Gray, Professor Olubenga Ajala. Sorry, I'm always having and to all other faculty, staff, students, and alumni who are here with us tonight. And your presence and support really amplify the value of the Constructive Action Showcase events and also mean a lot to both our students and the faculty members. And my special thanks goes to the production team for this event, who worked very hard behind the scenes. Thank you, Dr. Pamela Ransom, Associate Dean David Hahn, and Director Tina George. And this event really couldn't have happened without your help, commitment, and efforts. And now, without further ado, let me introduce the Dean of Academic Affairs, Dr. Wayne Shu, who will offer welcoming remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Good evening, everyone. Congratulations. What a proud moment. Again, let me introduce myself. My name is Wei Shu. I'm the Dean for Academic Affairs. I'm new to this position, but I'm here. I feel like I'm here forever. I've read a lot of constructive action, but this is the first time to see the students present their constructive action. So I'm super excited, and thank you for the faculty working with you guys. And thank you for putting your best work and to share with us and making an impact. So congratulations and welcome all the guests. We're very much looking forward to it, and I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you, Dean Shu. Now we will hear from the president of MCNY, Dr. Joanne Pissarro, for the president's address.
Thank you, everyone. Excuse my mask. I am fighting a cold that's not going away, and you don't want it. But it's a thrill and an honor to be here tonight. You know, as Dr. Lee said, and I want to thank Dr. Lee, Dr. Ransom, and everybody who put this together. Thank you for such an important event, because constructive actions are at the core of MCNY. You know that. When you're graduate students, but when I am standing in front of new students, new student orientation, especially undergraduates, they don't know what they're getting into. And if they've transferred from another college, what the heck? Constructive actions. What about my multiple choice test? What about, you know, mailing it in? That is not who we are, which means it takes more work to get a degree from MCNY. But what's so important about what we're doing, the degree is important, and the degree is important to you. It is your door to the future, but it's the work. It is the process of learning how to make the changes this city, this country, this world needs. And you know that we need them. This world is in rough shape, and we need to understand how to make positive change. And I have met so many students, especially undergraduates, again, because they're not used to what they're getting into. And sometimes they see me a couple of semesters later and they say, I finally got it. Everyone at MCNY, our students have been on the receiving end of a lot of bad policy, bad practice, bad everything. You know what should be changed. And when a student, when you or an undergraduate realizes you're not just checking off a box, you are learning how to make the change you need, your family needs, we need to make the city a better place. Lights go off and sparkles happen, and it's not so hard. It's hard to go to school. It's hard to go to school, work, raise families. It's hard, but when you know not only will you get a degree that will be a door to a better future for your family, that you'll be doing work, because we will have taught you how through constructive action, that will make things better longer for more people. You can stick around for that. It gives you the incentive to stay. And we are so proud of your work. The students selected here by the faculty, we are so proud to recognize your work. We're so proud that you engage so seriously in the work of this college, because as I tell our students, I don't achieve our mission. As Dr. Lee put it, our mission is social justice through higher education. I don't achieve it. I do everything I can to support it. I don't achieve it. You achieve it. You are the ones who are creating social justice in our communities. I am doing everything I can to support you in doing it, but you're the ones who achieve this college's mission. The faculty, the staff support you, guide you. You're the ones. You make this college great, and this is a great community. I'm sure you know it. This is an outstanding community of people because we're all so dedicated to this mission. So I want to honor you. I want to thank all of our guests and say, keep it up. We need you more than ever in this city and this country and this world. Constructive action is what we're all about. We need more of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pizarro. Now, without further ado, I am going to introduce our first presenter, Mr. Ethan Torrington. His work is titled, Don't Leave Just Yet, Improving Staff Retention Within the Residential Department at AAER.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So during my time at AABR, I had the opportunity to work towards their mission as well as towards their goals actively. And with this organization, I interned in working on my constructive action, which is titled, Don't Leave Just Yet, Improving Staff Retention Within the AABR organization. Good question. Spoken to that. So an interesting fact: AABR was not called AABR. It was titled Association for the Advancement of Blind and Retarded. However, the word retarded was not a good representation of individuals with intellectual disability. So since it's no longer used, the agency decided to just call themselves AABR. I'll give you an oversight of the organization as well as my presentation proceeds. A little about me. I currently work at a nonprofit organization titled Innovative Resources for Independence, also known as IRI. I am the Associate or Assistant Director of Residential Services. So I oversee on average about 37 facilities, managing a system as well as staff, and also providing quality care to individuals with intellectual and developmental disability. I've been in the human service field for well over 2 decades. I'm grateful that I was able to turn a passion of mine into a career. And I've strengthened that career academically, where I attended MCNY, just as many of you are attending, and I acquired my undergraduate degree in a bachelor's in human services, as well as my graduate degree, a master's in public administration. So a lot of what I have learned here, I have been grateful to integrate those knowledge into what I do, and always trying to give back to my community. By doing so, working with a nonprofit organization is one of the ways I've done so. So quick oversight of the organization. AABR, as I explained, it has a rich history. It's been around since 1956. That organization was founded by a group of visionary parents who wanted better for their loved ones who had a disability. And they created this organization, which has now grown into one of the largest service providers for individuals with developmental disability. In addition to that, AABR Center is focused on residential facilities. They have a total of 23 residential facilities throughout the tri-state area, and they provide quality opportunities for growth of integrating individuals into their community through a home and community-based setting, as well as teaching individuals who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. So there is a school that provides quality of care for those individuals, as well as residences throughout the tri-state area that also provides quality care for individuals with intellectual and developmental disability. And of course, AABR is a nonprofit organization. They've more or less, I would say, put a stamp into what they do and the quality of work that they do. And I'm grateful that I was part of that organization for 14 years prior to me transitioning to where I am now. And one of the biggest issues that we've always had in regards to AABR was centered around improving and increasing staff retention. And this is particularly with direct support professionals, as well as shift supervisors and residential managers. One of the challenges that the organization faced was centered around communication being an issue. In addition to that, there were staff that resigned for multiple reasons. And this was primarily towards the residential department, since that is one of the key prospects as we are providing services to individuals and needing to retain staff to provide those services to individuals. So in talking with the team, and I'm grateful at the time, I was an associate director. So I was able to integrate myself into the residential department and allow those staff to have their voices heard and bring awareness to some of those issues that they were facing. And staff retention seems to have been one of the biggest challenges that that organization faced. So by bringing awareness to those issues, some of which were communication being probably the number one issue as it relates to the way how staff communicate with each other, as well as the way how administrative staff communicated with the DSP staff. So we had a major disconnect. In addition to that, we had new hires where the onboarding process seemed to have, they were not connecting well with the staff in terms of being hired, being placed in a residential facility, but not having a continuity of training that allowed them to understand their roles and responsibilities, but most importantly, executing those roles and responsibilities. And those were some of the challenges that the organization faced as it relates to some of the problems. And I'm grateful that I was able to bring highlight and awareness to those problems, but most importantly, through my constructive action, creating a strategy on how we're going to address those issues and what are some of the tasks that we can work towards addressing those issues. So of course, I did my due diligence. I wanted to provide researched data to support some of the topics that was affecting the organization through my literature review. And I was able to find a lot of interesting facts in regards to some of those topics that I brought awareness to within the residential department, as well as within the organization as a whole. And some of those issues, of course, one of the highlights that I wanted to share with everyone: poorly trained employees don't portray professionalism. They're less likely to produce spectacular outcome and more likely to depart and increased likelihood of workplace accidents and error. And this was a research that was done in 2017 by Tate. In addition, communication is the secret to prosperity in our daily lives. And I'm grateful that I was able to do this research because it allowed me to formulate an hypothesis on how staff retention affects the organization, but most importantly, providing supporting documentation that brings highlights to some of those issues that I addressed in my problem statement. So, of course, my research design was centered towards a quantitative and qualitative, like Professor Lee. But the focus primarily was on how to structure my hypotheses. And the goal was to hypothesize on a few areas based on my literature review, but at the same time providing a surveyor with the residential department to support my hypotheses. And some of those hypotheses were as follows: shift supervisors and DSP workers, high turnover rate is likely to be perceived as an imminent internal threat to the employees. COVID-19, interestingly enough, while I was interning, we had COVID-19, and that created a major retention issue where we lost a few staff for various reasons. One, complications to contracting COVID-19, also vaccine mandates the organization had implemented. And we had staff members who decided to have an early retirement. They did not want to get vaccinated and they did not want to follow those rules. Fortunately, we lost a few staff due to that. And of course, inadequate training given by management staff, which was likely to cause employees to quit or want to leave due to misunderstanding of employees' responsibilities. That seems to have been the most recurring trend within that department, not just from the surveys that I received, but just speaking with staff throughout the years. Training seems to be an issue. Communication seems to be a recurring issue. So it helped in terms of with what I hypothesized and with the research that I completed to support how I was going to address some of those issues and concerns as it was brought to my attention. Well, not just to my attention, but the awareness to the organization as well. So of course, I did my quantitative research, which consisted of me reaching out to current and past staff, asking a series of questions and tallying, doing my correlations, my percentage. I'm not going to bore you with that. But some of the things that was brought out of that survey was a high turnover rate, with 47% dissatisfied with compensations and workload management, improving morale and training. Again, training programs crucial for reducing staff turnover. So a lot of what was done in terms of reaching out to those staff, speaking with current staff, it helped to support my hypotheses, and it also helped to strengthen what the awareness that I was bringing to the organization as it relates to staff retention. In addition, I did my qualitative research findings, and this was a case study that I selected a few members, and the goal was to understand or to find the rooted cause of some of those turnover issues. And these were some of the results that I got from that. Common theme identified, so showed an inconsistency in training, communication again being an issue, training again, training. Low pay, of course, understaffing, and of course, COVID-19. One of the unfortunate aspects of this particular portion is there were areas that I had full control over and I was able to make an impact. And there were areas where I had no control over. Of course, COVID vaccine mandates being one of them. That's an agency rule. I cannot say, hey, we got to change this rule so that we can retain our staff. This was something that was for the benefit of not just the staff, but most importantly, the benefit of the mission of the organization, which was to provide quality care to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So I wasn't going to go that route to say, hey, let's work towards changing the mandate. That was the organization thing. So my goal was to focus on the areas that I had control over, which was training, which seems to be the reoccurring trend. And of course, by doing so, what I wanted to focus on was creating a system or a plan as to how I am going to address those training. And the goal of that was to ideally strategize, create a training workshop with focus on some of the areas that would have brought out from my qualitative and quantitative research surveys, and to provide the appropriate documentations along with the training, and more or less create a system where this is a pilot program that the future generations can use based on the success, of course, of this pilot program. And I decided to undergo a 10-week workshop project. Now, the goal, of course, of the workshop was to improve DSP retention and enhance interpersonal skills through training. And there were other areas that I also wanted to focus on, one being improving staff's understanding of their roles and responsibilities, but most importantly, providing staff with a system, a structure where onboarding was a challenge. We wanted to have a structure where training was consistent, staff were being paired with a senior staff that have knowledge of the system, have knowledge of their roles and responsibilities. And of course, in the workshop, recording those trainings so that the managers can use for future training for newly hired staff. And this was a challenging prospect. Primarily, I believe some of the issues were scheduling with the education and training department, of course, finding a suitable location and platform to provide those training. But by the grace of God and determination and my tenacity, I was able to successfully complete that 10-week training where we were able to record each training sessions. We actually decided to change things in our approach due to trials and errors, where instead of having a large group, we decided to split that group, where we focused one group on DSP, direct support professionals, and the second group on shift supervisors as well as managers. And by doing so, it allowed us to strategize better. It allowed us to push those informations that we would have gathered through the workshop, through the pamphlets that we created, and that allowed the success of the 10-week program to pursue. In conclusion, I will say the pilot was a success. We saw a major change in not just the way managers communicate with each other, but most importantly, the way how they treated staff, which was a challenge. We saw an improvement in interpersonal communications with management. We actually started a rewards program where once a month, we would have a manager from various facilities pick an employee of the month, and of course, provide a reason why they picked that employee, and see how it related to the training that they would have received prior due to the 10-week program. So we were able to successfully pick a few employees. That also boosts staff morale. It allowed staff to appreciate what they do. But most importantly, it's bringing acknowledgement, and it's our way of saying thank you for what you do. And we saw an improvement with that. I'm grateful that I stand here today. The workshop is in full force. It is a part of the training or orientation, and we've seen a lot of success in terms of the staff retention rate improving within the organization. And now the staff morale, as I've gone back to my baby organization, I've heard a lot of great things out of the 10-week workshop that we had completed for our team. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. As he indicated, he was my student, and during the entire year, he was never late in any of his work. It was amazing. Now our second presenter, Ms. Brunilda Samuel, is going to the presentation titled Ensuring Effectiveness at NICA Casa de Torino.
Good evening, everyone. My constructive action was ensuring effectiveness of NICA Casa de Cariño. If morale is addressed, then the agency could become more effective. At the beginning of my constructive action, I was the director of social services at Casa de Cariño. I'd just like to note that I've been since promoted. I'm a program director at one However, when I was director of social services at Casa de Cariño, I observed that the staff was experiencing low morale for various reasons, but mainly because of being overwhelmed with the workload due to being short-staffed. But before I continue to discuss my constructive action, I would like to introduce you to NICA. NICA is an abbreviation for the Neighborhood Association for Intercultural Affairs. NICA is a nonprofit organization that has been serving the community for 49 years, since 1974. They have been assisting the Bronx residents with housing interventions such as eviction preventions, helping individuals apply for HRA one-shot deals to help with addressing their eventual arrears. They have represented the Bronx residents in housing courts to mediate landlord-tenant issues. They have also had homeless prevention workshops to assist the Bronx residents and just to prevent them from becoming homeless. One of the major roles that NICA has played, and I'm not sure, but I'm telling my age, but in the 1970s, the Bronx was burning. There were a lot of abandoned buildings. And NICA was instrumental in getting these abandoned buildings and reconstructing them, rehabilitating them, renovating these buildings, making them beautiful and livable for the Bronx residents, and also very affordable. Today, NICA has 17 homeless shelters. They oversee 17 homeless shelters. We service homeless single men, single women, and now families and children. Out of the 17, 7 are transitional housing programs, which means that they are helping these single individuals get their life together so they can go back out into permanent housing. 2 of the 7 transitional housing are special programs for single men and women over the age of 50. And then the 10 are the asylum seeker shelters. These are the migrants that just recently came into the United States. We opened these up really fast and we are servicing these individuals. NICA has these 17 homeless shelters throughout the boroughs of the Bronx, except for Staten Island. We're working on that. We have several shelters in the Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens. NICA's mission is to provide culturally and linguistically client-centered housing, legal and social services to promote self-sufficiency to these individuals to improve their quality of life. As I have mentioned before, as a director of social services, I observed that my staff was experiencing low morale. And I knew that it was my responsibility to do something about it, to create something, to work on something so that my staff can be effective and be able to service these individuals. So I did an experimental research design where I created an interview with 10 questions, and I interviewed 3 managerial level individuals. I interviewed a program director, a director of operations and security, and a social service supervisor. And I wanted to get their input so that I can come up with a project. So I conducted a focus group with management first. And I wanted their feedback. I wanted to know, what did they think they can do to improve morale in the department? And my hope was that management will follow their own suggestions. I also conducted a focus group with staff. And I wanted to hear from staff, what did they want from managers? What do you need from us to help you improve morale in the workplace? So based on the suggestions, we came up with a project idea. So my action plan, I had 3 outcomes, 3 objectives. And I wanted it completed by the 25th of April, 2020. But first, morale will have improved. Second, the team will be strengthened. Third, staff will have become more supportive. And then the responsibility was on management. The process objective is that management will conduct training with staff, such as the team building activities to improve morale. So the implementation was conducted in a 3-week period in April, right before the 25th. There were 3 team building activities: escape room, bowling social, and mindfulness. I think my favorite was the escape room. It was a game, it's an online game, and it was called the Oregon Trail Escape to the Willamette Valley. And the objective of this game is that they had to escape a mysterious illness that was attacking the passengers on the train. And the team had to solve puzzles in order to reach their goal of the Willamette Valley. And it was a pleasure to watch the team just working together and coming up with ideas. And at the end, they were successful. They did escape the mysterious illness. The second was the bowling social. And the purpose of this activity was to promote friendly competition. But the manager observed, I didn't get to attend this bowling social, but the manager reported to me that she observed that they really weren't concerned about who had the highest score. They were there to help each other. They were talking about how it was like a boy versus girl, and they were talking about the guys were telling the girls, no, you should pick this bowling ball, it's lighter and then you can roll it. And the girls were telling the guys, well, you shouldn't throw the ball, you should roll it so that you can get a strike. And it just turned out to be a fun activity for them. And they felt, they created a bond that is still today. And mindfulness. The mindfulness workshop is very important because when you work in a shelter, it's a stressful environment. It's literally putting out fires every day. Working with individuals who have trauma. And our staff carries that with them. So we were teaching them, we wanted to promote self-care. And mindfulness was very important. In the beginning, I actually joined this workshop. In the beginning, it was hard for them to relax because they were like, no, I gotta take care of this client needs this. No, this is your time. It's okay to take a step back and take care of you so that you'll be able to take care of yourself, your clients. So I have to say that I think these 3 team building activities were successful. So back to what I had said in the beginning. As a director of social services, I knew that it was important to create a project that will help my team just boost the morale, to increase the morale, and then they will become effective. So we implemented this project. I interviewed these 3 manager levels, and then I decided that I need to interview them again. So it was a pre-test and a post-test. So the charts that you will see are the results of the pre-test and the post-test. I asked the question, how can morale be increased? And there was a lot of responses at the pre-test. So 33% stated line of communication, open line of communication. Another said providing training and resources. But when I conducted the interview again, the post-test showed a different result. 66% stated policies and procedures help maintain morale, and 33% stated management must be consistent. When I asked the question, what tools can you use to increase morale? Again, the first pre-test, there was a whole bunch of responses. 33% stated recognizing good work and improvement. But when the post-test, 100% answered the question, team building activities. The next question I asked, what incentives can be used to increase morale? The pre-test, a whole bunch of responses again, gift cards, bonus programs, staff recognition. But when I did the post-test, 100% stated team lunch, potluck lunch, and pizza party. So it's true. The heart to a man is through the stomach. But in summary, conducting these interviews with these three individuals, the managers, the program directors, the director of operations, and so the social service supervisor, getting their suggestion, looking at the results, I can honestly say that my project was successful because the agency, the morale improved in the agency through these interventions of team building activity. So in conclusion, it is crucial for managers to be consistent. It is very important to continue these team building activities bonds, and it creates a good work relationship. It is vital to continue these focus groups and train managers and staff. Conduct weekly staff meetings to ensure that staff and managers are engaged. And the managers, please, managers, and I say this all the time, you must know the pulse of your workplace, because then you'll know whether or not you need to create some other team building activities. I have to say that I'm very proud to say that my project had a long-term impact on the agency. This past September, the agency decided to do a department-wide team building activity. So in September, there was a big barbecue for all of the social services department from all the 17 sites. We all met at, what park was that? FDR Park, and we had a wonderful time. They also had a barbecue for the operations team. And I spoke to the team on Monday, and I asked them how did they feel about that barbecue. And some of the comments were, I can't believe that I was rubbing elbows with the COO. Like, we were playing baseball and he tried to cheat and we got him out. So these are the type of activities that I want to incorporate within the agency. I'm thinking of different things to do. I just spoke to my supervisor this morning about trying to get a scavenger hunt in the Museum of Natural History. So we're trying to get that done. But I just want to to share the importance of knowing your team, working with your team, because we are servicing a precious community, our homeless individuals that need so much support. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Daniela. And it is very true that I'm happier when I'm fed. Right, so the next presenter is going to be Mr. Neville Michelin. His work is titled Reshaping Client Engagement Models for the post-pandemic era.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Melvin Michelin, and the title of my CA presentation is Reshaping Client Engagement Models for the Post-Pandemic Era. And my CA was done at the place of my employment, which I work for a Canva nonprofit. Quick overview on Canva. It was founded in 1977 in Flatbush, Brooklyn. The CEO, Joanne Amaposo. Canva stands for Church Avenue Merchants Association, Merchants Black Association. And the primary focus was to, reduce crime, improve the community in Flatbush, Brooklyn. And over the years, it has evolved into a multi-programmed agency, fostering youth programs and their largest programs, which is housing, and which is supportive housing, which I work for. So my role, I'm a case manager with the agency. I've been there for 3 years. I work in the supportive housing program. Under supportive housing, it's a transition of homeless individuals who all have a severe mental health, diagnosed with a severe mental health condition, and have been chronically homeless. My role is as case manager to support them in that transition. Some of these people have never owned an apartment or lived on their own before. All the clients in this supportive housing building can independently live. We're just here to help them with that transition. So the issue during my time there that I experienced, matter of fact, I experienced it as soon as I started with the agency, the COVID-19 pandemic. So what was happening was staff was working once a week. We weren't able to engage with our clients as much as we needed to. And what ended up happening once we returned back to the office is clients no longer wanted to engage. So they figured, hey, we wasn't engaging with you during this time, we're not going to engage them. And then we had a lot of staff turnover, which made it even harder because, dealing with clients is also fostering trust and understanding with them. And, staff is coming back to the office, there's a whole bunch of new people, and they weren't really happy with that. So I had to figure out how can we change it? How can we do something differently that we didn't do before to re-engage these clients? The agency has been used to the clients just automatically engaging because that's what they knew. And these clients were living there. This supportive housing building that I work for have been open for like 8 years. And so a lot of the clients has been there from the opening of that building. And they were used to doing things specifically. Pandemic happened, it kind of messed up that flow. So what can we do different? So, client engagement means interacting with the clients. Part of the client's responsibility is meeting with their case managers. So they meet with their case managers weekly, bi-weekly, depending on the contract we have. Coming to groups, workshops, doing service plans, stuff like that. And these were the things that they were. So one of my hypotheses is create a level of engagement. Client's level of engagement will increase with incentives and more services are provided. If staff isn't given the resources, then the level of client engagement will not increase. So part of my research design or research to come to that hypothesis a mixed method approach, which I use quantitative and qualitative data to get to that hypothesis. The goal was to investigate the current level of engagement and find out how the clients felt. How do they feel about it? Because, as staff, we sometimes overlook how the clients feel. We used to just doing it a certain way or a certain protocol and not really including them. So part of that quantitative research, what I did was I surveyed 27 clients. And part of the qualitative research, I interviewed 3 staff members to get their feel and input on what client engagement was to them and how they felt we could re-engage and get back our clients. So, like I said, I gave surveys to 27 clients, all of which were formerly, like I said, formerly homeless and all have severe mental health diagnoses. And I asked them 11 questions, all focused around client engagement. And each client, I didn't include children, each client I gave them a survey just to get their input on what they felt about it, and it was handed back to me. So these are some of the results and some of the questions that I asked them. With key questions. I know the client, so I had to ask some questions. Do you think your case manager is boring? Is that why you're not coming? Do you want to be left alone? Is my mental health essential to me? I'd rather not engage with my case manager. Stuff like that. I just wanted to get a sense of feel of, what they're doing. And also, did they think the topics of the groups and workshops were interesting? Because, we did workshops on healthy eating and stress and stuff like that. It usually is a staff member talking, just talking, like, here are tips. We do this, here's a worksheet. So the results I got from those surveys was pretty much what I expected. It was a little mixed. Most of them were neutral about how they felt. Most of them were like, yeah, my case manager is boring. These groups and workshops are really not that interesting to me. They wanted to be left alone. So, we have to figure out a way to change that. And then for qualitative data, I interviewed 3 staff members. So 1 program manager and 2 staff members, and asked them questions on, how do they engage their clients, and what ideas or suggestions they were having towards client engagement, since that was a big issue among everybody there. So some of the main points and themes from these interviews were, the need for more client engagement and their strategies to increase it, the need for more supervisor support and organizational flexibility. So, what I got from the 2 staff members was they felt that they weren't being supported by the higher ups. They felt that, they were struggling with their job. They know they had to meet certain quotas and get certain things from these clients, but they weren't getting the support from their supervisors. And then another theme was building rapport and trust with the client. So back to what I said, a lot of the staff members that came back weren't staff members that started with. So these were a whole bunch of new people, including myself. I was pretty new. They just didn't trust us. So it was really hard engaging with people that you just don't trust, and having to constantly open up to these people for services and stuff like that is really hard, especially when you're dealing with mental health, you're homeless, and stuff like that. So I had to create a 10-week pilot program. So this 10-week pilot program, the goal was to improve client engagement amongst clients at Campbell Gardens, that's the name of the facility. And what we ended up doing was creating workshops. I wanted to do 4 workshops. But these workshops were going to be a little bit different than how we did it before. So these workshops were going to be not just facilitated by myself, but I wanted the clients to do workshops. I wanted the workshops to be tailored around exactly what the clients wanted instead of what we wanted. What were the clients interested in? What did the clients want to do? So what I ended up doing was, to get those answers, I created an interest assessment. So an interest assessment was literally me calling all my clients, all 27 clients, and asking them, what is it you would like from these workshops? What would you like to do? What would you like to see? What things are important to you that we should address in these workshops? Is it mental health? Is it stress? Stuff like that. So these are some of the responses that I got during the interest assessment. And then afterwards, after I did that, I also asked these 27 clients, would you be interested in facilitating it, running it yourself? Instead of me or another staff member doing it, how about you do it? How about you tell us? You're the ones that's dealing with the stress. You're the ones that's dealing with these things here. How about you run it? A lot of them said no. But some of them were really interested. They were like, yeah, what do I get out of it? I'm like, we'll have snacks. We'll have So what ended up happening is I formed a 4-client committee. A 4-client committee of 4 interested clients who wanted to run the workshops, create come up with the material, help create the flyers, distribute it. Pretty much the clients are our biggest promoters. They were able to get the other clients to come to these workshops. Instead of us begging, can you come to this workshop, please? We got cookies. Instead of me doing that, the other clients, they vouched for each other and said, hey, come to this workshop. I'm doing it. And they were really interested. But of course, dealing with clients, I had issues. So in my four-person client committee, it dropped to 2. Because clients are clients. And sometimes clients can be, I call them my grown children. So they were bickering, they were arguing amongst each other. So I had to make executive decisions and be like, you know what? I don't think this is gonna work. You come to the groups, but it's not gonna work. But the 2 that remained were really helpful and came up with the ideas of what the group should be about, the material, how it should be ran, etc. And then when we actually got to doing the groups itself, they facilitated, they spoke, they did everything. I just sat in the back and I was like, I just made sure everything worked out, and I made sure nobody took too many snacks. The clients really enjoyed that they were the ones that facilitated and created this. They owned it and they owned it. And it attracted other clients to come to these groups. Yeah, pretty much. So these are the flyers that I pretty much made it with their help, of course. They created one of the workshops, an art therapy workshop, where they did arts and crafts. And during the art therapy workshop, they talked about dealing with stress. It was a really good workshop. A lot of stuff was said, a lot of feedback, a lot of strategies, like how do I deal with stress? How do I deal with it? It became like a big rap session, and everybody was feeding on each other. And then the other workshop was stress management. And that was pretty much same kind of dynamic. They just fed off each other, spoke with each other, and they really seemed to enjoy it. So I wanted to evaluate if it was successful or not. What I ended up doing for that was giving them a post survey after the workshops. So all 15, well, so from the 27 clients that I invited, when 15 came, which is still good. I gave them surveys to see how they felt afterwards. Like, did you enjoy it? Did you like it? The 4 questions were: participating in the client groups interest me. I wanted to be left alone. My mental health is essential to me. And the topics of the groups and workshops interested me. So the key findings, the results was majority of them enjoyed the groups. They enjoyed the topics. They enjoyed it. Most of them disagreed with wanting to be left alone after participating in the workshop. And 60% of the participants recognized the importance of the mental health post-program. And 86.67% found the workshop topics interesting. So, you know, based on those results, I could say that the new approach to workshops and engaging these clients was successful. That, you know, by us changing the model, that they really got a sense of, you know, new interest into coming into workshops and re-engaging with case managers. Well, that aspect, you know, there's other things we don't work on. But as far as groups and workshops, we're now re-engaged. And I can tell you this, after I did this project, we still use that model up to this day. So, you know, we got to do workshops like every week. And every week, clients is facilitating and, you know, doing everything. They pretty much run the groups now. They got to remind. It's 11 o'clock. That's where y'all at. So it was well received. The workshops were great, and the new model is still being practiced with the organization.
Right, thank you, Neville. As we delve deeper into the event tonight, we will now witness a deeper reflection into the constructive action journey. So the next presenter is going to share the highs and lows, the moments of pride, and also some challenges that she faced during the constructive action project, providing a more personal touch to this academic endeavor. For our reflection today, we would like the next presenter to focus on 2 primary questions. And then they are, what were the moments you took the most pride in? And what challenges did you find most significant? And the next presenter is Lillian Willer.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I was very excited to be asked to do this because my most prideful moment and my most challenging moment are one and the same. I work for the Department of Homeless Services, and initially I tried to do my corrective action on socialization of children in the shelter. But due to a contentious relationship I have with my supervisor, I was unable to complete that. So my first semester, I wrote 100 pages thinking that I would be doing my constructive action at my current place of employment, but I was not allowed to. So I had to quickly pivot and find another place to work, as well as another topic for my CA. And I was able to do so. Not only did I find an internship, my internship turned into a job offer, in which I was offered to be a service coordinator. My CA topic was turned to, is entitled now, From Rule Breakers to Goal Makers, a compliance training for the service coordinators. So the issue was the service coordinators had deadlines to meet, but they weren't meeting them. Because as being a service coordinator, it was like a second job. There's no 9 to 5. You just have a list of things that you have to accomplish within a month in reference to the client. The agency that I worked for was called Alliance Services for TBI. TBI is traumatic brain injuries. Most of my clients suffered traumatic brain injuries. They were able to, this is a waiver program. We are trying to keep them in the community and not have them live in nursing homes or supportive housings. So it was very interesting. I implemented a training program for the service coordinators because they believed that it was a lack of training and is why they weren't being compliant. They didn't know when they were supposed to meet their deadlines, and that's why they were missing their deadlines. So I implemented 4 workshops in which we did training, and the service coordinator said that they appreciated the training, and the reason that they weren't compliant was mainly because of management and not letting them know when their deadlines were. So my prideful moment and my most challenging moment ended up being the same thing. I wanted to personally thank Professor TJ and Professor Fritzdale, as well as my CA professor, Professor Rafa, because I really could not get through this without them. They really helped me to get through this because I'm a very emotional person and they really helped me. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Elena, for sharing the personal part of the constructive action process. So now I am going to open the floor for some Q&A and open discussion. Pam, can you please help distribute the mic? Are there any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, Dr. Hanson.
Good evening, everyone. Hold on, just try to silence.
Pull it down.
I just wanted to thank you. Congratulations for you all, and thank you for your presentations. Thank you very much. I wanted to know what were some of your challenges that you guys faced in going through the process of completing your construction. I'm sure there were many. I just would like to.
Well, personally, in my first semester, I didn't know what a constructive action was. I was like, what are they talking? And that was like the most challenging. But after the first semester, I got to understand each class, every paper that I wrote was part of my construction act. I had to think of my topic and research my topic through the classes that I was taking. And that made it easier. It really did. Every class needed like a 5-page paper. And then all of those papers ended in my constructive action. My constructive action is 310 pages. And that's 2 semesters of work, not the first one.
I want to add that I didn't realize the sacrifice that I had to make. Working full-time and coming to school full-time. Summer happens to be one of my favorite seasons, and I couldn't really engage in my normal activities of going to the beach on Sunday because I dedicated Sundays to do all of my work. And so for the first semester, I was devastated. I really, oh wow, should I sign up? But I am one person that when I start something, I'm going to complete it. So I had to really buckle down and work on time management and tell my children, no, I can't do that. I have a paper tomorrow. So I need to work. But as I sit now and I reflect, it was worth it. Because I can finally stay here now. I'm a graduate. It's important that you give yourself the grace that you need, the time that you need, but also the discipline that you need to complete this.
Thank you.
Interestingly enough, it's something I joke about with my family member. I always say I literally spent about 15 months of no sleep. And I will say, just make sure you have a good and strong lock on your bedroom door. Because many afternoons I had to barricade myself into my room. I have two young, adorable, vibrant, energetic kids that would literally be banging on the door. So the professors would be hearing the bang and say, "Daddy, let me in." But look, I always say, if I can do it, anyone can. And the reason why I say this is I was doing 2 full-time jobs. I'm a father of 3 beautiful girls and a husband to an amazing, supportive wife. So if I can do it, you can do it. But challenges, great for me because I had an amazing support system. So my challenges, I was able to brace on that support that my wife and my family provided me with. But it is something that you have to have your end goal, and you have to be determined to reach that end goal no matter what. And that was my plan. I actually made a promise to my youngest where I told her by the time she starts kindergarten, I would have completed my graduate program. Grateful I was able to fulfill that promise we had.
I'm already laughing because I didn't want to come back to school. Because at the time, my wife had just given birth to our son. So he was like a couple months old. And I was like, I'm gonna wait till he's like in school and I'll come back. But my wife was like, no, we got this. We got this. It's gonna be tough, but do what you gotta do. She said she was gonna be supportive, and she was. Because the night classes was tough. And sometimes we're doing our classes on Zoom, and I hear my son just wilding out. And I'm like, I feel so bad because I'm here sitting in class and I can't help. But my wife held it down. So she was my biggest support. And shout out to my wife. Even though shout out to him too. It was a drive of motivation. But without that support, I wouldn't have been able to finish it at all. Because there's been a couple times I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stop. I'm just gonna stop and I'll come back. My wife was like, no. Straight up. Without the support system, you won't be able to do it. And I noticed with this school, there's a lot of older people who hasn't been to school in a while. I got kids, families, they got a lot of responsibilities. And shout out to my professor. She was very understanding. There was some nights I was like, there's a lot going on. Please, can I get an extension? Please. And I don't hear it from her, but she was definitely supportive in the matter. And a lot of the professors here are really supportive and understanding. So, I definitely love that part. Who is this she?
Now we know when we get a little extension, guys.
Next question. You don't have to stop. I was very loud to Dominican now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming here and honestly, this is inspirational, being in Purpose 3, seeing what we will be like.
Yeah.
Applause to you. I have a question about your strategic plan, which is what we're working on now.
Right ahead of you.
So I want to know, obviously, we're writing our strategic plans and everything is like theoretical. What part of your strategic plan, if any, has to be adjusted once it hit the ground? Did that happen? Because you all were able to, you know, follow through in the implementation?
Okay, so it's still in the works with NICA Casa de Caribe. Well, NICA in general, not just Casa de Caribe, it's the 17 shelters. One of the biggest challenges is getting the funding. Because I'm asking them for money for these team building activities. So, and they're telling me that, you know, especially for the asylum seeker shelters, they're telling me the money could be used to purchase things that their clients may need, such as winter clothes and other stuff, or give them, perhaps provide money for their medicine. And those are all very important things as well, but it's also important for staff to have what they need to be able to service this money. So it's still in the works. We actually had our second meeting for the plan last week. And they're coming up with, I was told yesterday that I have a meeting tomorrow to discuss budget. So I think it's coming. So one thing that I learned is to be persistent in a professional, polite way. Let them know that this is important. Staff needs support too. We're working with this population and it can be draining. So you need this. I need this. This is my dream and I want it to happen. And you see how it has improved and retention has improved and staff are actually coming to work on time because they want to be there. So it is working.
Without giving away too much, there is an epiphany part of the strategic plan. I'll try my best not to. But ideally, adjusting the budget was also a key area. I think a lot of it has to do with the people in the higher up that you have to go to when you're presenting your plan to them. There were a lot of readjustments that were made, especially material costs, inflation being an issue as well. So that was, for me, my biggest challenge, readjusting the budget. But there is an epiphany. I'm gonna give that away, but.
Well, it would really help if your strategic plan didn't really cost the company that much money. As in mine, I gave workshops, so I only needed to have like snacks, and it was on a Zoom. So it was really like when I wrote it, like it came out the way it came out because I didn't really need any financial incentives to do my strategic plan.
Yeah, I guess same thing. You really want to find something that's cost effective, that's not going to really, that you probably already have in place there, and just see if you could work something out of that. You understand? And it's it's really like the beginning stages of it. Once you get into it, especially with the organization, things are going to change and stuff like that. But try to work with what you already have in place first.
Okay, since everybody's getting hungry, I'll take one final question.
This is for Ethan. We have the same agency come. I arrived. No, and I was a BSP for the pandemic also, and I also agree with some points that you pointed out, like communication, staff appreciation, and stuff like that. So it motivates me more to finish my CA on your CA point of view.
Okay, Vice Chair Gina Han also has a question.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to commend all of the presenters. You're very interesting and well organized presentations. Vice President Kirkendall and I were just talking about how clearly you showed how you took the structure of the constructive action process and applied it in your particular situation. So I want to compliment you on that. As all of you know, one of the principles of purpose-centered education is the integration of theory into practice and the integration of your studies in your dimension courses into your CA. So I was wondering if one of you would be willing to take a few minutes to just explain how you took what you learned in your dimensions and applied it in the constructive action that you discussed.
So kind of piggybacking off of my colleague there, one way how I have integrated the various dimensions, I actually embedded myself to be part of the orientation training. Just piggybacking off of the previous organizations that I would have worked with, I decided to provide my knowledge on person-centered approach, person-centered planning, and person-centered thinking. So my goal was to start off the new hires with that approach and to integrate my knowledge. I actually was part of those training sessions where we taught our staff, I should say, the importance of thinking person-centered. And in addition to that, we had what was called a home and community-based approach as well. So not only are we teaching our individuals how to integrate within their community and acclimate, build relationships, meaningful relationships, and having members in the community be part of their circle of support. But most importantly, we were teaching our staff how to share that knowledge with our individuals. So that was how I was able to integrate the knowledge of the various dimensions within my current field.
Thank you.
All right, if we don't have any more questions, now we will hear from Vice President Humphrey Castillo.
You know, thank you so much, Dr. Lee. I sat back there with pride and this beaming exuberance, listening to these presentations. And I'm trying not to be narcissistic, but Professor TJ, would you come? So I can never remember. The two of us started this graduate program, the oldest graduate program in the college, close to 40 years ago. 1988. And it is a remarkable thing to see after all of these years, we no longer teach CA. But the consistency, and this is in direct response to Dean Hahn's question, that we can sit back and say, yes, the integrity of the constructive action methodology is still there after all of these years. The beautiful presentations that you see here clearly didn't exist in 1988. The students didn't have that technological capability, but that's all right. We can see the remarkable job that Dr. Lee is doing. We want to salute you as well. And I know Dr. Gray has left, but I see Dr. Strong is in the back.
Yes.
Would you stand up? She is one of, I don't want to call her new because she's been at it a while, who's taken on the mantle of passing the baton to new educational leaders in our school who maintains this. And in addition to that, She went on and she got her EDD at, what's this institution? St. John's Fisher. And I like to say, because, you know, I have no shame about me, when she got her EDD and she was lauded at that institution, I just said, yeah. It was because of all of the work that you did at Metropolitan. It is true. And since then, she can testify to it, that there are a number of students who got their master's degrees from, and they went on to that institution and they didn't have a problem because of the kind of discipline that we have challenged all of you to engage in. So I see AJ, he's another faculty member that has never taken on of leading our school and keeping this discipline and this tradition. Now there's some that is missing out there. But there are a number of adjuncts who have been teaching with us, and they've been teaching with us for a very long time because we want some continuity so that we know, so that Dr. Lee knows, we can count on you to maintain the requirements that we have insisted upon that represents these constructive actions. I told Dr. Lee, I'm going to keep my distance in the program. I'm not going to exert any of my influence. No, that I'm the VP. That's hard, but I'm staying out. I'm staying out. But Professor TJ will tell you that very, very early on, we are the, well, I shouldn't say we, but that's all right. The president is not here because she chastises me, which is true. She said, you know, you should never talk just about the MPA because you're the vice president for all programs and all academic programs. But we were the first program that insisted that all of your documents be submitted in a final bound document. There's no other school in the college that asks their students to submit their documents that way. And there have been movement afoot to change that, and we have resisted. My hope is that Dr. Lee will resist and that will demand that all of you submit the final document. We know, Dr. TJ can testify to this, that there have been students who have taken literally these documents on their interviews with prospective employers. Here is what I'm capable of. A, this document reflects my ability to engage in critical research. You will see in this document the ability to translate research into piloted project. You will see an evaluation. You will see program planning. You will see strategic planning. All of that you've heard presented today. And so we know that there have been students who then, when they took these documents, their interviews, they were hired on the spot because it demonstrated you can write, you can reason, you can engage in analytical thinking, all of those things. I want to salute you for that. And then finally, so you can go back and tell the president, you know, he was very ferocious of his love affair of the School for Public Affairs. But just so that you know, the end result of what you see presented here tonight. This November, the college is going to have a very ritzy fundraising event, and they want to showcase graduates of Metropolitan College of New York. And it just happened purely by accident. Well, I like to think it was more than accident. The three recipients that is going to be honored at that are all graduates of the School of Public Affairs. One is an executive vice president of Fresh Direct. So you get a sense of the scope of what's happening in this room with students who graduate from Metropolitan College. One is the former commissioner of HRA. So you get an idea. And the other is she's no longer a young lady. She runs a large not-for-profit organization out of Brooklyn. She used to be the executive vice president for a workforce program out of the Navy Yard. And she got too big for that. And she's now transitioning into an even larger role, to give you a sense of the global reach of what happened in the School of Public Affairs. From this little college that people might say, who? Well, what's the name of the college again? Come see the great things that we are doing here at Metropolitan College, as is evidenced by these presentations tonight. You're not going to get a master's degree from Metropolitan College because you're going to spend your money and 3 semesters later, we give you a degree. No, you need to work and earn it. And you see the evidence of it here. Because I have every expectation that when you graduate from this institution, the discipline, the academic discipline that we will have instilled and demanded from you, you can now take it into the city and show the city, this is who we are. We can lead the city. And we firmly believe that our graduates actually run the city of New York. And so I want to thank you, Dr. Lee, and all of your colleagues for putting on this presentation and for making it the wonderful success that it was tonight.
I had one thought while Professor was talking. In those early years, first few years, we ought to recover those documents, those early documents, because the research component of these, that's still illustrated here, of these documents now is so much more sophisticated. It's getting so sophisticated now. That's why I had to leave the whole process. I mean, I can't understand it anymore. We have to have research experts teaching that class. So the whole CA process got much more sophisticated, and I think it got, it's much superior to what it was in the beginning. Dare I say that? And so I just want to say the same thing that Professor did. Congratulations. It's very impressive work. And I look forward to something. You see, sometimes I don't hear it for a while, but the vice president reminds me, you know, so-and-so now is in the city doing what? Wow. So I look forward to hearing about you. And those of you who are just getting started, this should be a little bit motivational, right? You have something to look forward to and big things to accomplish. Okay. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay, so the last part of the event tonight. So as we transition into the award ceremony, let's remember that it's not just about individual achievements. It's each award and each recognition is a testament to the spirit of our community, guidance of the faculty members such as Ken Ransom, Professor Gladys Strong, and Professor AJ, who are here with us tonight, who are doing a wonderful service to the college by helping the students produce a wonderful CA project. And also the unwavering support of families and friends who are here with us tonight. For the award ceremony. Professor Ransom. I'm going to read one of the certificates and then read off the name. Okay. Certificate of Recognition. This award is given to Ethan Torrington for the Distinguished Master's
Turn around there. Take it out there.
Nilda Stumper. Nabil Mishwin. Lillian Wheeler. Once again, please give a warm and a big round of applause to all of the participants.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's done. You gotta get
What is that in there?
That's all right.
Yeah.
The stories being heard tonight, the journeys of each of these presenters have truly been inspiring, and I hope that we all can carry these stories, reminders of dedication, perseverance, and most importantly, the power of transformative education. And once again, I thank all of the audience members tonight for being here with us. And the event is officially adjourned, and please stay here for the discussion. Thank you.